Legend of Total War here, and today we're doing another Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires campaign review, this time covering Drycha. So Drycha's start position is the Griffinwood, which is the same start location she had in Total War Warhammer 2, and her starting enemy, she's got two, a minor Skaven faction, Clan Creepus, and Ostermark, which is one of the Elector Counts of the Empire. Now this campaign here is quite interesting because you start in the middle of the Empire, right, sort of, and there's just loads of enemies potentially around you, and it has the appearance of a possible trick start, but I think that this trick start here is actually not optimal at all, so I'm going to call this a fake trick start. So actually it's not really a trick start at all, but you could be forgiven on turn 1, recruiting all the forest wild spirits in this province, then moving into the Griffinwood, getting some more of them, and then force marching up to Beckerfen, so that you can, on turn 2, basically wipe out Ostermark's potential for recruiting a good army. Now, you can manage to get a full stack by doing that, but the problem in doing that is that you use up a lot of your initial treasury, which you may want to spend in upgrading the Griffinwood. And also, there's a lot of things that will happen here in the early stages of the campaign, like a forest event, which it might be better if Drycha is down this way to deal with it. And also, it's not really a bad thing if that army gets to a full stack and comes down to you, because unlike the situations with previous legendary lords that we've mentioned, Drycha is way more powerful than whatever these guys can bring. You can easily handle it because the early game Empire forces will just totally be rolled over by Malevolent Dryads, and you've got a spell in here which will take out mass amounts of infantry without any problems with the Penumbral Pendulum. So if they bring a full stack, even 2 full stacks, you should be able to deal with it, and you've got the ability to replace your casualties very quickly using the recruit wild spirits, so it's not that big of a deal to sort of rush them in the early stages of the campaign. Now, due to the way that diplomacy works in Warhammer 3, other factions will declare war on you fairly early on, such as Azag the Slaughterer and the other vampire counts, so you do need to be aware of playing the diplomatic game, trying to at least ensure that people that you don't want to declare war on you don't do that by just giving them something, non-aggression pact, a little bit of a gift. It's entirely up to you how you manage that, but you really don't want everyone declaring war on you since outposts are kind of difficult to defend, but that's entirely up to you how you want to play it. Now, another thing to note about Drycha's campaign is Coadil. When Immortal Empires first came out, Coadil was impossible to attain because he was bugged within the battle. You couldn't destroy those waystones, but now I went and checked out that battle, and it is 100% winnable. All the waystones appear to be destructible, so getting Coadil is no longer a problem for Drycha's campaign, which means it's essentially go ahead. Drycha's campaign is not particularly buggy. Obviously, the usual bugs that occur in Total War Warhammer 3 will still apply to her, but her faction-specific bugs appear to be removed. Now let's talk about her skills and abilities and see what she's got to offer. So she got the Briar Maven of Woe as her trait, which causes -5 control in local enemy province, which I don't think that's very useful for anything other than bringing other legendary lords back to life, if you want to do that by causing a revolt. But causing a revolt to try to damage the AI enemy forces is usually a bad idea because the AI tend to have extremely high order resolve bonuses versus Rebellion, so even like a full stack of rebels will tend to lose against like a damaged garrison, so don't rely on revolts to do anything other than basically provide free experience and money for the AI. Then you've got melee attack +5 for Dryad units, weapon strength +10 for Dryad units, heavily leaning towards Dryads being the main focus of Drycha's army. And then you've got Rouse to Wrath, which if we have a look at that, gives you one use, at least to begin with, of a summoned unit of Dryads, which decays over time. But once you reach rank 12, you're able to get rid of the decay and increase it to 2 uses. And then as you get through a skill line, you get to Mantra of the Fallen, then you get access to 3 uses of it, and you can pretty much cast this anywhere on the map. It's very powerful. It essentially gives you 3 additional units in every battle. So even if you've got 20 units, it actually equals 23. So it's a very powerful ability in any stage of the campaign. So, other things she gets is charge bonus +10 for Dryads, Treekin, and Treeman units through her unique line over here. Weapon strength +12%, charge bonus 20. Ability Pageant of Shrikes, which is pretty good to get rid of a bit of their ammunition. Indoctrinator, which reduces the Winds of Magic cost for Melkoth, Mystifying Miasma, and upgraded, and replaced Glamour passive ability with Insidious Glamour for all elf units, just in her army, which I don't think this is particularly useful because while Glamoured is a bit of a debuff, you're not really incentivized to recruit any elven units into Drycha's army apart from maybe a couple of heroes. It's entirely up to you. So while Insidia's glamour is actually a buff, it's just not really important to note for her army specifically, because she's just not really incentivized to even get any elves whatsoever. Then you've got Shifting Woods over here, which provides ambush success chance plus 15%, causes fear and terror when ambushing in the forest, which applies to the entire army, which I guess that can be useful unless you're already rolling around with fear and terror on all your units. And then Befuddlement of Mischiefs, which is essentially a Net of Amantok like type ability that doesn't cost Winds of Magic, so that's good. Natural Order, you've got unlocks Hero Recruitment Branch Wraiths, all provinces, Hero Recruit Rank +3 for Branch Wraiths, and Hero Action Cost -25% for Branch Wraiths. And then this one over here causes, we already looked at the Rouse to Wrath upgrade, Enemy Leadership -8 for Elven units, Enemy Armies in Local Province, Leadership +8 for Dryads, Treekin, and Treeman units. And then everything else here is pretty much generic to other types of branch wraiths, spellcasters, whatever. You know, melee line, spell line, red line, blue line. We've seen all that before. Then if we have a look over here, the Fang of Talroth, this is obtained by winning the Coadil quest battle. So this one here is providing magic attacks called the Dampened Effect, reducing magic resistance, although that needs to be rewritten. It doesn't reduce magic resistance, it reduces spell resistance. They just didn't get around to changing that. So that's actually been nerfed a little bit since. So magical attacks, it makes no difference to. It only affects spell resistance. So Winds of Magic cost -1 for Occam Mindrazor, and same thing for upgrade, except -2. A passive ability, Fang of Talroth. I'm sure many of you guys who have gone up against Drycha will be super frustrated with having to encounter this, because she's just constantly casting and increasing your cooldown by 15 seconds. Now, using that against the AI is not that impactful, since the AI tends not to use abilities as much as the player, but it's still better than nothing. And then, of course, enables completion of the quest chain to free the imprisoned legendary hero Coadil. So overall, this is a pretty good item there. Nothing particularly special, especially considering the nerfing of Dampened, and there's no set bonus with that either. Now, if we have a look over here at her faction trait, she's got the Dryads of Dyspathy, which causes -40 relations with Wood Elves, reduced upkeep cost for Dryads, Treekin, and Treeman units, all armies, increased upkeep cost for all Elf units by 10%, again, not incentivizing you for recruiting Elven units. Starts with one item of Amber, which is very good, because you've actually got extra technologies here that the other Wood Elf factions have. And I reckon getting the reduced upkeep cost for all Dryad, Treekin, Treeman units, and also reducing construction time, I reckon that's sort of like the safest bet for what you're going to get the most bang for your buck in the early stages of the campaign, because that'll allow you to build up the Griffin Wood here. Instead of doing it in 10 turns, you wait until the next turn, and then it will take you 8 turns. So in total, it takes you 9 turns, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's pretty good. And then all elves are glamoured, reducing their combat power and making them expendable. Not something that you really want to lean into. You don't really want elven units unless you don't have any other choice with it. Now, another thing to note with Drycha's campaign specifically is her ability to confederate, or her inability to confederate, I should say. So Drycha is only able to confederate Durthu. That's it. She cannot get Ariel, she cannot get Orion, and she cannot get the Sisters of Twilight. She's the only one of the Wood Elf Legendary Lords that has limited confederations, which is funny because the other Wood Elf Legendary Lords can confederate Drycha. But yeah, she's only able to confederate Durthu. Anyway, that's the end of this one here, guys. Overall, I'd say that Drycha's got a very interesting campaign. Enjoyable, for sure. Not exactly my favorite of the Wood Elf campaigns, but I'm definitely enjoying the Wood Elf campaigns a lot more in Warhammer 3 than I was in 2. But if nothing else, she offers a different playstyle for the Wood Elves compared to the other ones. So that's good if nothing else. And it's not a particularly challenging campaign. She's just very powerful. Anyway, that's the end of this one. Appreciate you guys. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.